the updates, the gameplay, so because they are pretty significant. You may have heard in some of the press that's come out already. Like, so there's a new gameplay animation technology that we've probably adopted. Well, we certainly have adopted to the furthest degree so far. FIFA 18 used it a little bit and it's called real player motion technology. But we used it to basically throw out every stand-up gameplay animation we had from UFC 1 and 2, recapture them all, and then build that component of gameplay basically from square one. Rebuilt the entire thing for UFC 3. So that's required, or that has been sort of partnered with some significant control changes and some really significant changes to just the strategic decisions that you can make when you're playing the game. So one of the big changes on UFC 2, the left stick was also a strike modifier, right? So if I hit the left punch button, if I wasn't moving, it was a straight punch. If I was moving towards you, it would throw a hook, and if I was pulling back on the left stick, that's how you threw an uppercut. With the implementation of real player motion tech, what we were able to do in terms of improving the fighter locomotion, its responsiveness, its look and feel, and we really wanted to make sure that you had constant control, over your range to your opponent, because that's a really important part of the fight game in real life. So the left stick doesn't modify any strikes anymore. No matter what strike you're throwing, if you're moving toward your opponent, you're throwing that strike. If you're moving backwards, you're moving side to side. You can strike. You can throw any strike on the move in this game. So that required then that, okay, this doesn't modify strikes anymore, so now this is a straight punch and that's a straight punch. This is the hook modifier. And then similar to Fight Night Champion, this double button press here or that double button press there is how you throw an uppercut. So there's some minor changes to the control scheme, but some significant changes to what you can do in gameplay in terms of managing, throwing strikes on the move, moving laterally and throwing a hook, or moving backwards and throwing a right straight. Drastically different gameplay experience in the stand-up than there was in UFC 3.
Did y'all try to make it feel like more boxing, when like in your striking mode, where it's just toe-to-toe?
Certainly, well, I wouldn't say more like boxing, but because some of the more, on UFC 1 and 2, some of the fancier strikes were a little bit more, were a little bit easier to perform with holding modifiers. People might in a game like UFC 1 or 2, they might have spammed, spinning stuff a little bit more often. Whereas what we've been finding, certainly when the beta was out and when we've just been playing the game internally, a lot more of the gameplay is sort of accomplished with some of the fundamental strikes, whether it be jabs, straights, hooks, uppercuts, or low kicks, etc.
Yeah, I like the jab. The jab was nice. Is nice.
Well, and just being able to again move it, throw it while I'm I can move it. I can move sideways. I can pump the jab. I can double jab, straight right. Just some of the realistic sort of combinations in the game. Are much better than they ever were before, and plus just the ability that I can move off to the side and throw a right hook. I can move off to the side and throw a left hook. I can move backwards, retreat, and throw the jab. Right.
How did you throw the uppercut?
Uppercut again is either these two buttons or those two buttons.
Which two?
The two that sort of go well with the alignment of your thumb. So square and X, or triangle and circle.
At the same time.
Yeah. So that's when we had button punching on Fight Night Champion. That's what we did in that game. So we figured it was something that wasn't going to be too complicated for users familiar with EA Sports fighting game franchises. Now, some other things that have changed on UFC 2. This used to be block high and this used to be block low. We wanted to reserve these two bumpers to be strike modifiers. As I said, this is a hook modifier, or if you're throwing a kick, it's a high kick modifier. This is more like you'll find that's a big overhand, or if a fighter has fancy kicks, they'll be on this modifier. This is how you strike to the body. And so we figured, okay, this is block high.
That's also block?
Right trigger is block high. Right trigger and left trigger is block low. Because this is how you strike to the body with the left trigger. So that's how you block to the body now too. And that's pretty much the major control scheme differences. Head movements is still on the right stick. You can see I can be moving around the ring and moving my head backwards, forwards, ducking, slipping side to side. And probably one of the other big changes that we've made from a gameplay strategy logic standpoint is there's a very robust basically vulnerability system at play in the game right now. So the direction you're moving, what action you're performing, all has sort of an impact on how vulnerable you are to a strike from your opponent. So, the simpler version of that is like, okay, if I slip and I duck my head down right as you throw an uppercut, that uppercut's going to do a lot more damage. If I'm moving this way into a kick that hits me from that side, it's going to do more damage. Similarly, if I'm in the middle of trying to throw a big haymaker overhand right, and I'm basically wide open, and you catch me with a strike in the middle of that before I've landed mine, we have these these vulnerability curves that go up and down based on every single action and direction you're moving in the fight. So you have a lot more realistic situations where it's like, oh, I knocked you out because I caught you as you were making that risky move, right? And you were moving into a strike and throwing and leaving yourself open. Probably one of the coolest things I'd heard in terms of feedback was from people that started playing the game is that, and I feel this myself, is that people said the best thing about it is that when I feel like I have, I think they said, agency in my own defeat. And basically what they meant was every time you lose the fight, every time I've gotten knocked out in this game, I knew a half second before I got knocked out that I was probably going to get knocked out. Because I was like, oh, damn.
It's risk and reward. And
you mean like whether it's I tried to throw a big kick from too far away and I knew it was going to fall short and they were going to be able to capitalize on that before I recovered, all those kinds of things. So, like I said, drastic changes in terms of the control you have over your range, the vulnerability system, and then really, like I said, the real player motion tech in terms of the locomotion animations, being able to strike on the move, all that kind of stuff has really changed the stand-up gameplay experience. The bullet point is we recaptured somewhere in the area of 3,000-4,000 animations in the game this year to rebuild this stand-up fighting gameplay experience using real player motion tech. So it's an entirely new game. You generally don't see in an EA Sports game this kind of overhaul from one iteration to the next. But we do usually have a little bit more time than some of our friends on FIFA, NHL, NBA, what have you. So the head movement again can also be used really effectively. I can if I slip my head off the line while you throw a strike, I can do more damage while also evading damage of your own. Combinations as well, much more fluid than they were in UFC 1 and 2. We actually captured some of the combinations as sort of fluid, sort of like one single action animation. So
I noticed when you're doing a combo, you can hit the button almost in advance. Yeah. And it's whap, whap, whap. It's a lot like Fight Night work.
Yeah, and there's also, whoops, wrong setting here. There's, in terms of things being captured, we can go into view moves here. So there's obviously this helpful information here to show me all the punches and attacks that a fighter has. But also from a combo standpoint, this is, there's so much we added to the game. So Dustin Poirier in our game has level 3 boxing combinations. He has level 2 kickboxing combinations and level 2 Muay Thai.
Are these upgradable to a higher level, or is this pretty much set?
And for the licensed fighters, they are set. If you're in career mode or if you're in Ultimate Team, you can upgrade things. But one of the big things here is in level 3 boxing combos. We'll see how many that means. So that's so 58, and then obviously if you get up to level 4, level 5, there's probably another 10 or a dozen there under the boxing thing. But that basically shows you all the different kind of combinations you can throw in the game. And those are combinations that we captured with an athlete, not in the traditional sense. The way we used to do things was like we used to do it. We captured a straight, great. Then we captured a hook, great. And we captured then we had a straight, and we also had an uppercut, and we would blend those.
Put it all
algorithmically,
have each move separate.
Yeah, we were basically we had the pieces and we glued them together. That's the way we basically did everything when it came to gameplay. Real player motion tech. Now we go into motion capture, and then we will tell an athlete.
You do the entire combo in one sequence.
Give us this combination, bam, 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 and then you just get a much more fluid, realistic performance of that action, as opposed to something that basically a computer says, well, let's try and stick these together and they look okay, right? But the short story is there's 3 categories of combos. Let's see, Tony Ferguson has going to have different combos. He doesn't have anything in the traditional combo thing, but there are something on the order of, across the disciplines we have in the game, somewhere in the area of like just slightly over 600 different combinations that you can throw in the game. What's cool about that is that as you become accustomed to combos, just like in a real fight game, you can start throwing. If you know a couple of combos that your fighter has, you can start throwing something like you could start throwing a straight left hook, right uppercut, into a kick or something like that. Get your opponent thinking that get your opponent responding to that and seeing that come out over and over again. Just like in a real fight, it's kind of called setting a trap, right? I show you this again, I show you it one more time, then I can show you something that starts like that
and then ends up something else,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So some really cool stuff you can do there from a gameplay standpoint. But
have y'all thought about any VR for the stand-up?
I mean, it always comes up. I don't know that like a full-fledged VR fighting experience.
Did you ever play Fight Night Round 3?
Yep.
The first-person mode,
yep.
Where you could actually have your vision blurred on the sides.
Yep.
And
the thing, and then I remember from that worked really well. From I can see when the guy's trying to punch me in the head. Your lack of, I could see it working really well if VR started to come with a vet, like an impact vest, and I know those kind of.
Yeah, I have one of those for the PC.
Oh, you mean so let me know when I've been hit to the body, right? Or even for this one, let me know when I've been kicked in the legs, right? But your lack of it's not really spatial awareness, but
force feedback.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Force feedback, or my inability to kind of know really where my body is and where my legs are in a VR experience, I think might be a hindrance. I think there's an opportunity to do some interesting mini games in an MMA sort of.
Yeah, it would have to be a mini game. Yeah. I couldn't see a full-fledged.
Let alone, just standing up and trying to fight at the pace that people fight a game like this.
Yeah.
It could be really challenging.
It was pretty hard in Fight Night Round 3 not to get knocked out.
It'd be a pretty awesome workout though, that's for sure.
Especially if you were using 2 move controllers.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a fun mini mode. It really would. I would play the hell out of it. It's something I would definitely enjoy.
So then the other thing is, so stamina is obviously a big thing.
You can't just keep spamming.
And you can see also I have a block meter, and you can see that it breaks down. Some very sophisticated block breakdown logic. So a couple things you can do if you would just hold the right trigger there to block high.
There we go.
Just block high with the right trigger. So you can see your blocks breaking down. There's a couple of different ways or different strategies you can take to try to break down a block. One thing is I can just try and throw strikes that come at different angles over and over, right? So I could try and throw like a right hook, left hook, right uppercut, straight, right? And because those are all coming from different hands and different trajectories, that might break down the block breaker. Or the other thing, break down the block quicker. Or the other thing you can do is I could repeat one strike over and over again.
And then eventually you'll go through the block.
Well, what will actually happen is that if I repeat one strike over and over again, the block will sort of hedge over to that one direction, so that if I jab, then when I come with the other strike from another direction, it'll break through much quicker. So a couple different ways to attack an opponent who's just trying to turtle up, but the important thing there is to realize that, hey, just holding down the block button isn't a recipe for, hey, I'm totally out of danger. You have to keep moving your feet. You have to keep moving
block,
your
block,
head.
block,
Right?
punch, block, 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 punch.
Right.
Wait for the other guy to wear his stamina down and then beat the crap
Exactly,
out of him.
right? You always got to be trying to move your feet, move your head, block strikes when you can, but also interrupt your opponent with a quick strike of your own if you feel like you can't deal with the pressure, kind of thing. So, and then whoa, big head kick there. Ow, another big head kick there.
Oh,
that was a excellent vulnerability moment.
Yeah.
So, again, as you see, you threw a strike, you were extended and open, I slipped it with really good timing, and then threw an uppercut, which led to a stun, actually a knockdown. So all those things come into play. That's it's very much like a real fight. If you can create an opening on your opponent, capitalize with some good timing and a counter shot, that's where you'll do some really big damage.
I noticed in the beta, the little bit that I played, I knocked the guy down, and he was pretty much out.
Yep.
I couldn't hit him anymore. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like I won the fight. He was out cold, and I'm walking away. Mm-hmm. I was on top of him, and I got him down. And to me, it felt like I should have been able to hit him a couple more times.
Right. And then did the fight end?
Yeah, the fight stopped before I could actually hit him a couple more times.
Okay. That might have just been a beta issue. So there's a couple of ways the fight can end. Obviously, one way is just a straight knockout. So and so the way those will work is if somebody gets just lights out KO'd, your opponent will actually will turn around and walk away, just a walk off KO, Mark Hunt style kind of thing. The other kind is a TKO, and there are those moments where you can knock a fighter down and they're in a vulnerable position. You can get on, pound them out with strikes. Then they can recover from that state. It's not easy. And then there are also what we call alert knockdowns now, which are knockdowns where you can knock an opponent down, but they are not in a. You get to go on and just fire rapid punches. They go down into a state where they are, they're already ready to defend themselves. And then there's also almost just like a flash knockdown where you can knock a guy down, but they will get up immediately without any opportunity for you to jump on them and follow them up. So there's a lot of variety in the way that stuns and health events and knockdowns can play out. But obviously the reason we do betas is get an early look at things, test the game out, and it's usually always it is an unfinished version of the final product. So we can see here so that's a knockdown where you were getting up on
get right back up.
To do anything.
Wasn't really a stun. There's a stun there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Run, dude, run.
Good head movement there.
Ow. That's not very nice.
Oh! And
like that.
That was a knockout.
That seemed to be the type of knockout when I was fighting in stand-up like that. That seemed to be what I got.
Yeah, so this is one where I just destroyed you, and you can see Dustin Poirier, well, actually, replay ends too soon, but he was like, that's no need for me to Dan Henderson, Michael Bisping on this one. Yeah. I'm going to, it's a walk-off.
Looks like he broke his neck.
So, but there are still TKO moments where you can knock a guy down, you can jump on.
You can still get on him, and then the ref has to come in. And
exactly.
It's something I didn't see in the beta.
Yeah.
I knock people down, and that'd be it.
Yeah, and there are issues. It's always a little bit of a challenge then because from an animation physics, how quickly when you knock somebody down, how quickly we can allow you to dive on top and start throwing strikes is always a little bit tricky because if we let the top guy get on top too quick, it can just lead into those crazy YouTube moments where they turn into a ball of physics nuts and blah, 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 blah. So it's always something we're trying to, make sure we tighten up as much as possible. But yeah, those moments are in there. In the beta, they may not have necessarily been as, tuned to the right consistency or whatever. So, but they are there. I've been finishing people at work all the time that way.
Does the game play better on the PS4 Pro than it does on the PS Slim, on the regular PS4?
It plays the same in terms of, it's funny, you can play on a PS4 Pro against a regular PS4. If you are playing on a PS4 Pro, you have the option to choose improved resolution, improved resolution, or improved sort of frame rate. So it's up to you how you want it to look. But in terms of like, do you have an advantage over somebody else? No. But it does look smoother or look higher res. You know, if you got a sweet 4K TV, then yeah, you know, it's worth your while to do that kind of stuff, right?
Got the 4K TV a while back. Got a PS4 Pro for Christmas. So
Yeah.
I played the beta on my old PS4, which was a long PS4.
Okay.
That's why I was wondering if it ran better on the Pro.
Yeah, I mean, so it does.
It'll run
either higher
smoother.
resolution or higher performance for sure. Yeah, but no, you don't have to worry about, like, if you're playing PS4 Pro that you'll only be able to match up with PS4 Pro users online or anything. That's, you know, it's cross compatible and all that sort of stuff. So we also added a minor thing. There's judges scoring to review at the end of the fights. Now we didn't let you see the scores at the end of the fight. You can see the round by round stats. But yeah, that's just a quick summary of, like, massive changes that we've made to the standard gameplay experience. Another thing we did here, you know, it used to be when you went into sort of the Fight Now tile, it was just right away into fighter select. Now there's a couple options. There's traditional Fight Now. There's knockout mode, which we had in UFC 2, which is the kind of arcadey, you know, hit point gameplay logic. There's a custom Fight Now mode where you can go in and there's a bunch of sliders that you can modify. You can also hit the triangle button there, and it will actually give every fighter in the game equal stats across all the categories. If you want to, you know, if you're playing at home on the couch and you want to, hey, let's make it so we can use any fighter on the roster, but you're not going to have a huge advantage over me because if you use Conor McGregor and I use somebody not as reputable kind of thing. But and then there's a stand and bang fight mode, which is basically like a kickboxing mode that has the gameplay logic of the full game, right? Not knockout mode logic. And then there's a submission showdown, which is grappling only, with you know, first one to get a submission finish wins, or nobody gets the sub finish within the time limit. It goes to a tiebreaker system, kind of like some real world grappling tournaments.
So stand and bang would be the kickboxer.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one is the knockout mode, basically boxing.
It's knockout mode is still like kickboxing, punches and kicks work. The difference is the health point logic that exists. It's a very sort of like old school arcade style where each fighter has, say, 10 health points. Every strike that lands takes off one first one, right? Whereas the stand and bang mode is the full health and stamina logic from the full game kind of thing. So, but yeah, some big changes there. Before we jump into career mode, we did add a offline tournament mode as well, so you can create a tournament. It can be between 8 and 16 fighters. You can have persistent damage through the tournament too, so your health carries over from fight to fight.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an old school one night Pride tournament or old school UFC, you know, 1 or 2 type tournament. So that's brand new.
Can you win but still be eliminated due to damage?
No. If you, I mean, well, you can't. You're always going to make it to the next fight, but you might make it to the next fight with really bad health, and then you're not going to win that fight. But there's no, like, you know, Sakuraba after his 90-minute fight with Royce Gracie, you know, like he won that fight and then he's not going to advance in the tournament kind of fight. Everything else is pretty much has just been, you know, retained or improved. One thing we did add to practice mode is an AI recording system. So if I go into practice mode here, and I can just really quickly put it onto strike recording. Since we updated, you know, the stand-up gameplay experience is brand new, and you know, the way offense defense combinations work. What I can do now when I go into strike recording on practice mode, I can turn recording on. Right now, I'm recording. I'm controlling the AI, so then I could have the AI throw a really basic 1-2 left hook combo, 1-2 left. No, let's record that off. Let's turn this back on. 1-2 left hook, and then I can do straight left hook uppercut, and then I recording off, and I can turn the playback on, and now the AI is going to throw those 2 combos at me.
Ah, I see.
So then I can learn, I can practice. Okay, like I want to know how to deal with this combination, right? Or what, you know, what do I want to do? I don't want to do that. I want to slip.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. So now it's going to come at me with that straight. Yeah, so I slipped it.
So, I mean, you know what's coming, but you also need to learn how to block.
You got to get the timing right. Yeah, and then you record, you know, a couple different combos and keep on working against them. So Nice little thing to have. Then there's also all the tutorials for the game are available in the practice mode. You can go into practice mode. It doesn't have to be a strike recording. You can just go in against the AI archetypes and play them. But it's a nice little wrinkle to have. Other game modes, online quick fight is there, ranked championships where you just fight with licensed fighters and you can level up through divisions. Live events we had last year, which is like a fantasy pick'em game. You can make predictions for an upcoming World UFC event,
I got involved in that.
and then get Ultimate Team content. Custom events is just building your own pay-per-view. UFC Ultimate Team, we had that last year, but we overhauled that significantly. We're not connected online, so I wouldn't be able to go in there and show you some of the improvements we've made there. But primarily, the two big things are you can play with licensed UFC fighters in Ultimate Team this year. Last year was just created fighters, and we really overhauled the sort of user interface, user experience there to make it a lot easier to manage what items your fighters have, how to equip items and upgrade moves for your fighters. Just a big sort of quality of life improvements for the UFC Ultimate Team experience, and then also adding the ability to play with licensed fighters, which was nice. But career mode, which is probably one of the big deals for us, we made some huge changes here as well. So I've just got started on a career mode with a generic John Doe here, and right away we jump into this career mode that I just started. One of the big changes. New features for career mode is that you don't start in the UFC anymore. On UFC 1 and 2, when you started career mode, we threw you right into the Ultimate Fighter sort of reality show. When you start career mode on UFC 3, you're starting as a sort of minor league fighter in the World Fighting Alliance, which is a sort of fictional / defunct minor league that the UFC owns the rights to, but I'm John Doe. I just had my first fight in the World Fighting Alliance. These are some fight offers for me based on my World Fighting Alliance contract. That guy's got way better striking than me. Maybe I shouldn't take that. Ooh, it looks like it.
Being a minor league type system, do those wins and losses count to your overall, or is that a sub record?
They count to my overall MMA record, but not my UFC record.
Not your professional UFC record.
Right. And then so where that becomes important is one of the other things we've added besides the starting off in a minor league and having to earn your way to the UFC. One of the big things we changed for the game this year, and one of the things we thought was lacking in some of the previous games, is that we really relied on people to sort of create their own goals in career mode for UFC 1 and 2. It's kind of like, the short-term goals are always very easy. Well, beat the next guy that I'm supposed to face. But, and then your long-term goals, I guess, like win a title and defend it a bunch of times. So we wanted to create a more clear picture of like, hey, what should I be shooting for, and how do I know when I've beat the game, so to speak. So we came with this idea of basically becoming the greatest of all time. And then so there's a couple things here. There's performance records and performance records, and they're loosely inspired by real-world UFC records. So you can see the performance records there are, hey, most wins by submission, most wins by knockout, most finishes, most UFC fights, most wins, fight of the night bonuses, consecutive wins, most performance bonuses, most consecutive UFC title defenses, and consecutive post-fight awards. Those are all things that you can accomplish in your career mode, and you need to get at least 6 of those. You can see down at the bottom, 0 to 6 performance records, and 2 of the promotional records to be considered the greatest of all time. So that's an entirely new wrinkle. It's like the long-term end game of, okay, how do I know when I've beat career mode on EA Sports UFC 3?
When you get GOAT.
When I get great, when they tell me I'm the greatest of all time. And I might still have some longevity, it's like some career health left, and I could keep fighting if I wanted to, but we tell you when you've made it to GOAT, which is basically we've done everything we could ask of you when it comes to career mode on UFC 3. But I can't make any progress to any of those things until I make it into the UFC.
Those only count to the UFC.
Exactly. Right now I'm in the WFA. I have a contract with the WFA, and you can see I have some contract goals which are kind of more medium-term objectives. So they're not just beat my next opponent. It's I'm supposed to win 2 fights in a row, and they also want me to try and, if I really want to impress the UFC, winning my next 2 fights by stoppage in the first round. That's how the UFC is going to really take notice of me and think, hey, we should sign this guy right away.
They need you quick to have a quick knockout.
Right. So
quick submissions.
That's also something that's new this year because, well, starting in the minor leagues is new, but then also there being multiple paths to your UFC career. If I accomplish these goals, if I win my next 2 fights by first round stoppage, the UFC is going to be like, we got to sign this guy right away. If I win my fights, but they're not as impressive, they are probably going to invite me to a season of The Ultimate Fighter, which is we've sort of updated that presentation as well. If I do well on The Ultimate Fighter, obviously I'm going to get called up to the UFC. If I don't do well on the Ultimate Fighter, I'll get sent back down to the WFA, and I have to have a few more fights there, and then ultimately, they will call me up as long as I have a modicum of success. So there are multiple ways to get to the UFC based on your performance, and there are ways that you can kind of get there and then get sent back, and then you'll get up. But all that's completely new. The idea that, one, you don't start in the UFC, and two, your performance will determine how quickly you get there and how and what your first contract is going to be like. Contracts is another entirely new concept for career mode this year. So you can see up there at the top, I got just over $6,000 right now.
And 20 fans?
Yeah, 20 fans. So I've only had 1 fight, so maybe that's not surprising. It's just my extended family that's really thinks I'm not all that great right now. Another entirely new thing we have in the game this year is multiple gyms that I can train at. So they are all fictional, but they have their own specific fighting discipline. And they have a roster of UFC fighters that live at that gym. So I want to have good performances so I can get a good contract, so I can make good money, so I can afford to train
the good
better
gyms.
Right?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just getting started, so there's just these sort of 3 gyms down, the sort of beginner gyms. I'm going to join Carisi's gym. I'm not sure if you remember Fight Night Champion, but that was the name of the gym where Andre Bishop trained at. A little bit of an Easter egg there. So I'll join Carisi's. It costs me $3,000. There's a weekly training cost of $600. Now, if I'm gonna spend $1,800 on that so that I make sure I still have some.
What happened to your other week?
Say what?
You had 4 weeks of training. You only bought 3 weeks at the gym. You're going to do your own private gym?
No, that just means I'm only doing a 3-week training camp.
It's just a 3-week training camp.
So now what that gives me is another big thing that we've changed, or another thing that we've changed in the game this year is what you can do in training camp. So obviously I can go in and train to improve my just numerical attributes. This is very, very quick and easy. I basically can just spend my weekly training points, which is kind of like how much time I have on a training game. Boost up those attributes. Thank you very much. The other thing I can do is I can go into the learn tile. That costs 40 weekly points. I have 80 left, so that's fine. But when I go into learn tile, I'll see the roster of opponents that train at my gym. Some of them are only available to me once I have attained a sort of higher level in my career mode. But right now, the first 3 guys that are available to me, Ben Nguyen, Eddie Weiland, and Nick Lentz. And what I can do here is I can say, is there any one of these moves or perks that I'd like to unlock? I wouldn't mind having the overhand and the heavy hands perk. The overhand's a nice punch to be able to throw on people. So I can go into the learn challenge. I think it says, land 20 punches without missing 5 in 45 seconds. Pretty straightforward. Oh, just the range there.
You already missed 3.
Not off to a good start. Oh man,
Oh man.
We're gonna restart that.
That's terrible.
Yeah, he was.
At least you can restart.
Yeah. You can retry. You can restart these as many times as you want. So that's Andy. I didn't expect him to be backing up that much. I gotta get him against the cage.
Get him up against the cage. Little rope-a-dope. There you go.
Oh man, you're circling this driving me crazy. Come on, dude. Boom. Okay, I got the swing. So I can do there's a bunch of different challenges like that, but I completed that challenge. I've unlocked the level 2 overhand punch and the level 1 heavy hands perk, so I can go right away to apply those moves to my fighter. Just got to look for the yellow. Boop. Thank you. I can go to apply the perks. Are you familiar? Sorry, are you familiar with what perks do and all that?
Yeah,
We have them on UFC too. So, bam, that's how I unlock new moves and new perks. And again, every gym has a roster of UFC fighters with a challenge or multiple challenges that will allow you to unlock higher levels and new moves or new perks. Everything that you do in your training camp, with the exception of promote, which we'll get to next, improves your fighter fitness. If your fighter fitness isn't high enough at the end of camp, then you'll be going in with like suppressed attributes kind of thing. So you want to make sure you get your fighter fitness up to, somewhere in the 90s kind of thing. But then the other thing that you need to be aware of is, and this doesn't really apply early on in your career because it's the WFA and who really cares, but promotion is something that you can do as well to spend your time on. So right now I'm in the minor leagues. There's not really much I can do, but I can post to social media. It will increase my popularity. I made a social media post. I gained 2 fans. Fantastic.
The fans carry over to the UFC?
Yeah, they just keep going up and up and up as long as you make the right decisions and continue to promote your fights. Just train another bit here and increase some attributes, advance to the next week. But yeah, increasing your popularity, and then as we get deeper into career mode, actually I'll do the other thing too. The one other thing you can do in training camp is spar. So spar is a really good way to increase fitness because it will increases your fitness quite a bit. And then the other thing it does is it gives you a preview of the opponent you're going to fight. So we take a generic sort of created fighter and we give him the attributes and the AI of your upcoming opponent. And you get to fight that guy for a minute. And then at the end of that sparring session, we also give you a key to victory for your upcoming opponent. So I just get to spend a minute sort of seeing what this guy kind of does. He actually kind of holds his ground, throws hooks, what have you. If he was a submission guy, he'd be trying to take me down or whatever. Oh, he's obviously got an overhand. Ooh. Ooh, he checks kicks well.
Looked like he already broke his nose, but it kind of looked like that when it started.
He's got he's got an Owen Wilson vibe.
Yeah, definitely. Straighten it up for him.
I can also practice that new punch I just unlocked. Boom!
Oh,
that's a good one. That'll do really well. Oh, goes for the clinch.
Oh, shoulder strike.
Oh, he gets the takedown at the end of the sparring session. Big deal. I rocked you.
Yeah.
But so you can see
You're up to 99.
yeah, really good fitness. We need a key to victory. We need to be different. Be like Dan Henderson. Throw some overhand punches like your life depended on it. So basically, what they're telling me is that, and not surprising, I found that out myself. He appears to be susceptible to overhand punches. So that was the tip from my coaches. Good thing that I unlocked that overhand punch. If I didn't have the overhand punch, what would have been good about that is that I would have gotten that tip, and then I could have said, "Oh, if I have an overhand punch, that'll help me out," and then I could have gone to the
Then you could have used it,
Tried to
learned
unlock
it,
that
used it against him.
Right. So my fitness is doing really good, so I can spend some time promoting, or I can make sure I can promote. Now I can just upgrade some attributes, make sure I'm in peak physical condition for this upcoming fight. Fitness is doing, like I said, doing great. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, because I'm a little bit overtrained. So I can, because you can get over 100%. If you go way too far, like if you get up to like 105, 107, it actually is. It's the same as being like 94 or whatever. So you can
going over it actually goes down.
Exactly. Yeah. So So you can just
take an ice bath and it brings you back down to
So you can undo that. Just
his tweets, are they always the same? You've tweeted the same thing 3 times.
They aren't always the same. No, they might just be that way right now because I'm in the WFA and I don't have much to freaking say, and I've barely accomplished anything in my career.
Was that a Nate Diaz quote I saw? Playing touch butt in the park?
That's one of the training games you can do, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
There we go. Now I've advanced to fight week. So this is entirely new as well. Now again, I'm in the WFA. I only have 26 fans in the world. My ability to hype up a fight is pretty limited. But at the end of every single training camp, we give you this summary of what you did. I won my last fight. My opponent that I'm facing is a decent quality opponent. I posted to social media 3 times. That's gotten my fight hype from being very low up to just low. So not a great result, but it's far more important the deeper you get in the career. Because you ultimately, as you get into the UFC, there will be objectives, contract goals for you to make sure that some of your fights have like a high fight hype level. So you have to promote in order to accomplish that objective. And then those things are also important to accomplishing some of those long-term promotional objectives.
If you want to be GOAT, you need to get your...
If I want to break the record for most pay-per-view buys in a fight I'm the main event on,
fan base.
I got to make sure that I got a ton of fans and that I promote the hell out of that fight. But here I go into the WFA fight after that training camp. And they told me that this dude doesn't like overhands, so we're going to see what... oh, he likes uppercuts.
Oh, yeah. Already. Yeah, he definitely doesn't like overhand.
Like, I think his hair's getting in the way.
You can't see him coming.
Oh, he blocked that one. Good job, buddy. You're learning.
Smart AI.
One of the other things, actually, that's a...
Yeah, see, he wouldn't let me do that. You had him knocked out,
No,
and you still got to hit him a couple more times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it worked there.
So finish that guy. That game plan tip obviously helped me. I must have landed about 3 or 4 of those overhands, and he had nothing. No, that. Bam.
Oh.
See you later. So off to that's a good start. I finished that first. I got that first win by stoppage in the WFA. So that's going to help me out with my those contract goals, and we'll it gives you a little summary there. So hey, my contract goals, making decent progress onto those. I've won the first fight of potentially 2 in a row, and won by stoppage of potentially both of them. I got 15 new fans. I made that much money. Didn't get hurt too much. My longevity is still 98.2. Fantastic.
Now that 98.2, it goes down but never goes up.
It goes down, but there will be some things in like the ice bath thing. There are some things that you can do later on in your career. You'll get some opportunities where you can spend a bunch of cash, like on like rehabilitation or physiotherapy, stuff like that, which will you can claw a little bit back. Sorry.
Give you some more longevity.
Post fight, again, this stuff will sort of expand and grow. Like again, there's only 26. I only have 26 followers right now, so don't see a whole lot of social media response to my activities. Again, as you progress your career and your fan base gets larger,
the whole screen will be
that
full.
Screen gets full of both positive and negative things. You'll see comments from the haters as well, as they say.
There was one earlier that was from a hater.
Yeah.
I saw that one pop up.
Whoa, that guy's better than me. Santino Rios. All right, but it's the only option they're giving me, so I'll take that fight.
Do you get more options later in your career, like when you're in UFC? They give you 2 or 3 fighters to choose from?
So yeah, and actually I'll explain. This is kind of a unique situation just as you're starting out your career, but he had much better ratings than me, so I'm going to make sure that I got I'll use all 3 weeks there to improve my ratings as much as possible. So here's another sort of social media element that we have. Sometimes you will get messages from sort of characters. This is the fictional, CEO or president of the World Fighting Alliance. He's just letting me know that Dana White is going to be watching my next fight for that Looking for a Fight TV show that they do, looking for UFC talent. I can just choose a different way to respond to that. I'll do my best to impress.
Is that carried on? Does that reflect on your character, all your just decisions? Like you had 3 different faces on that screen.
Yeah. So basically, those responses, some of them, not all of them, but most of them will have have an impact on your popularity. So different responses will earn you different types of fans. So, but it's kind of a guessing game, right? It's you never know how those fans are going to respond. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not so good. But that was more of just an informative one, just to let you know, like, hey, this is a fight where the UFC is going to be there watching, so you should be trying to do super good. So it's, I'm not going to spend any time promoting this. I'm just trying to get into that UFC and make sure that my attributes are.
Knock him out in the first round, you probably get your invite to the UFC.
That's the plan. Although I should spar, because it
would be dumb not to spar.
It really helped. Oh, he's a submission specialist. All right, so I'm just going to want to.
The whole sparring thing is pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean it can also be very, very helpful, especially if you're playing career on harder difficulties. Sorry, that was something I was going to bring up. Is another thing that we've added to the game this year is if you become GOAT on any difficulty setting, you unlock legendary difficulty for career mode, which is basically the highest AI difficulty. But also, when you play on legendary, you can't restart any fights.
Oh,
so
well, that would make sense.
Yeah, so it's basically just it's like a new game plus mode, or if you're really looking for a challenge. Looking for the jumping knee there. Ooh, nice check.
The only way to unlock legendary mode is to become GOAT.
Yeah. Went for the takedown there.
Nice.
All right, so his ground game isn't devastating for a submission specialist. I was able to stuff that and keep him from getting me in his guard, so that's good. But what are they going to tell me there? Oh, this guy doesn't like overhands either.
Overhand punches again.
Fantastic. That's the first time I've ever seen that happen. But, no, so now here I am at a little bit overtrained.
Take an ice bath.
But I know ice baths will become available next week, so I'm just going to... Grappling defense seems like a good idea, just in case.
Because like sparring would be perfect for your first week, and then it would tell you what you need to do. There is a limitation. You can't, if you have low fitness. So I'm at peak fitness right now, but then there's moderate fitness and low fitness. If you have low fitness, the gym won't let you spar. So you have to do a little bit of stuff first to get up to like the 75 fitness range, and then you can spar. So, but here we are. Take that ice bath. Fantastic. Do some more touch butt in the park. It is my favorite. So. Let's just go see if I can make it into the UFC against this guy. Will do, Matt.
I do.
You don't want to go to the UFC. You just want to stay in this low rent type of place here.
I'll make some money.
Oh!
Now, I know you can't see that coming. I know you can't see that coming. My coach has told me. Oh, block that one. Don't get in your guard. You crazy? Oh, damn. I almost ducked onto that. Oh, well timed.
Yeah, that
Rios.
was perfect.
Uh-oh. Don't like this. I really don't like this. Oh, things are going really badly.
No.
Oh, boy.
There you go. I found him.
Oh, damn you. Phew. All right.
Nice.
Now you better finish him if you're going to get to the UFC. Make him pay for all that. There you go.
Too tired. Screw you, bud.
There you go. There you go. 7, 6. There. 7 seconds.
Nice.
Oh, that was
7 seconds.
tense. I didn't think I would. Wow. And I really think I showed them some stuff. You know, I showed them I could handle bringing the ground game. I
Yeah.
didn't panic with the submission was sunk in.
I thought your arm was gonna be ripped off.
Mine would have been.
Boom, boom. Contract goals accomplished. Got a bunch of fans. Made some cash.
There you go.
Bam, bam.
No reality TV for you.
I get to pick what your social media moniker is as well. So, just as a nice little wrinkle. And then here we go. I got my first. Yeah. This is another. So when I only had that one fight offer against this guy, that's because he was my minor league rival. So that's another thing that we have sort of put into this whole career experience is that sort of at every sort of stage of your UFC career, there's a rival we sort of put just a little bit down the road for you. So this is a guy I fought in the minor leagues to get in the UFC. Obviously, I knocked him out, but it was touch and go there. He's calling me out saying that, hey, like, he thinks I got lucky. I can respond how I want to, so I'm going to be kind of a jerk to him. Signed this rookie contract with the UFC, $15,000 to show, $10,000 to win. Thank you very much. I'm in the big leagues. and then now we see I go look at my new contract goals. Beat my rookie rival, win all my fights by stoppage. It's a 5-fight contract, and get at least 1 fight to high hype. So,
will it be the same rival or will it be a new rival?
it's going to be that guy that called me out, right? But then every time I sign a new contract in the UFC, somebody else from the UFC rankings basically will have something to say about how good they think I am, which is usually.
Will it usually be one of the guys you already fought?
No.
No.
This is the only one that will be somebody I already fought. Unless unless I lose against one of my rivals, then when I sign another contract, then they will still be my.
So he's your rival until you beat him again.
But so then my ability to accomplish these contract goals will determine the quality of my next contract and how lucrative that is, how much money I make on that contract, which then again obviously leads into my ability to purchase a membership at a new gym and finance training camps at each one of those gyms. They come for us.
What's that? Yeah. There's so much violence happening in this room. I'm worried about it.
All these guys look like I can handle them, so that's fine. I accept my next fight. Pretty straightforward from this point. But in terms of, like I said, sort of all the stuff that's new. Starting out, the WFA is new, the multiple paths in the UFC is new, the multiple gyms are new with rosters of UFC fighters that you unlock moves and perks by doing the challenges against. That's new. Promotion's entirely new. The sparring with the game plan unlocks it totally new. The contract system with the actual career earnings is new. Contract goals are new. The greatest of all time status is new. That's a bunch of stuff that we've added to the career mode experience. The one other thing that we haven't sort of haven't had an opportunity to see yet, because I went through I've already been through the initial one. We show you, oh, this guy. Hey, Doctor, I told you I'm going. He just signed his UFC contract, and he called me an amateur. The only reason anyone knows who you are is because I fought you. Let me see that fight out. We'll be right back. Would be a fun matchup, I guess. I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, the fans didn't like that. I lost 2 fans. They didn't like my cocky behavior.
You had nice fans.
Oh, they thought.
There you go.
Thought you were a nice guy.
But the other thing that we've added, and you may have seen some of this stuff in some of the trailers, is there's 2 types of sort of career mode cinematics that we've added. One is
I don't know what's beeping.
That's me.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
One is inspired by one's called UFC Minute, and it's hosted by do you know who Megan Olivia is?
Mm-hmm.
So she's in the game as herself, and she hosts these things called UFC Minute, where basically it's like they'll be giving a little sort of updates on your career, and then another one is kind of inspired by the Bad Blood sort of series, which is kind of like HBO's kind of 24/7,
Yeah.
but they're basically narrated cinematics, and as you accomplish sort of career milestones, every once in a while these cinematics will come up, and you'll see your fighter, either scenes of them at a press conference or at a weigh-in or at an open workout or in a promotional sort of commercial shoot kind of thing. But so we've tried to, or we've implemented these cinematics so that you get to see your fighter in these places.
Give it more of a real world feel.
Just the idea that people always, one of the things we always heard is like, hey, I want to see press conferences, and I want to see weigh-ins, I want to see that sort of stuff, and and we wanted to do that as well. And when we looked at it from a design standpoint, and we saw it as like, okay, well, if we just make you go to a press conference before every and a weigh-in before every single fight, and I have 30 fights, 35 fights, 40 fights in my career, it's gonna be like it'll just become a thing that you skip.
It'll be very repetitive.
Right. So we wanted to make it something like when things happen in your career that are of a particular note, that's when one of these cinematics will come in, and you'll see these scenes of your fighter in those different situations. And so.
Is that a video like you'll be able to replay later? It'll save it like to your profile in the game where you can come back. Like if you're watching it and you hit skip it, but then you want to watch it later, can you go back and watch it again?
No, that's a good point. Hopefully you don't skip it. And we do kind of put a spam protection in there because, It's very common behavior. People are just like, I'm going to try to win my next fight. Blah, 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 blah. So for those kinds of things, we do put a little bit of a delay.
Are you sure you want to skip it?
Right. Not a are you sure, but just a like, if you're
hold down the button.
If you're just advancing to the fight and you're going like da 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 da, it won't accept a skip for like the first couple seconds kind of thing. You're like, oh, I didn't mean to skip. Okay, good, it's not skipping on me. So just that kind of thing. But I don't think there's a way at this early in my career for me to fire off one of those things. Normally, we had a little bit of trouble installing the build this morning. So, look what I can do. I can start a video game streaming account.
You get Demetrius Johnson on.
Exactly. Or my Max Holloway. He
Yeah.
streams too. Or Joe Lozon used to do it.
Rampage used to.
I think he still does a little bit. He might not be that good. Oh, the other thing I can do is I can also do things like sort of gym.
A gym discount saves you money.
So I can do that. It costs me weekly time, but that means from now on my training camps are all going to be, my weekly cost goes down by like 5%. If I do another one, then it goes down by even more. Try and go through, see another fight, see if, because there are some, there's one other type of sort of social media integration that we put in. Maybe should I'm just going to go into the next fight. I had that, I skipped the whole week, so my fitness went way down.
You didn't spar the guy.
No. My attributes are way better than his, so I'm just going to assume that I can walk through him like hot knife through butter.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan O'Leary, and this is your UFC Minute. UFC returns this weekend with a fresh face who is destined to make headlines. When UFC President Dana White went looking for a fight, he was hoping that he would end up with a future UFC star. And those are the expectations after he signed a regional champion who has dominated the local lightweight circuit en route to his octagon debut this weekend. That's it for today. Stay tuned for your next UFC Minute, and I'll see you at the fights.
All right, coming up next
That's
is the
big awesome.
UFC lightweight division bout.
Get
Obviously,
hyped. Get
very,
excited.
Very early in my career, you can see it's I'm clearly on like the Fight Pass prelims, so there's nobody in the
Yeah,
audience.
there's nobody there.
You got dozens of people watching.
We could watch this one on Fox Sports 1.
I think this might be all 2,100 of my fans right here.
That'd be. Actually, I don't think there's that many there.
Yeah. Maybe this guy was susceptible to uppercuts too. I mean, overhands.
Look, the guy. Is that the guy you were sparring?
Should be.
Kind of looks like it is. The nose.
What is this guy?
Oh,
doing?
you caught him just as he went to kick.
John Anik freaking follows me on social media apparently.
You actually made a comment about what you were doing on social media.
Winning a lot of everything, Joe.
Yeah.
Just to be, I'm not playing career on the hardest difficulty here. In case you were wondering why the AI just seems to be just.
Yeah, I figured it had to have been on one of the lower ones. He's not doing a whole lot. Taking a hell of a beating.
Oh,
Cage is holding him up.
oh! You were so lucky you fell down before I landed that kick. Oh,
Nice.
He's done.
Beautiful knockout strike here for the victory.
Oh, he dropped his guard. Boom.
Oh.
To end the fight, landed flush. I'm not even sure his opponent saw it coming. So
You got his blood all over you.
huge win for that young fighter.
It happens.
Watch this again here.
Oh, you dropped it at the wrong. He was. Oh.
Here's Buffer now with the official decision.
Look at that cut. If you get cut, will the scar remain?
No. Damage is just lasts from one fight to the next, and there's no. You can't. The fight doesn't get stopped on damage or whatever because.
Look, the fight, like if he was the other opponent, he was cut. You could see the cut clearly on his head.
Yep.
If you get cut like that, will there be a scar there in the future fight?
No pursuit. We have the best plastic surgeons.
That's good. That's good.
Another thing that happens new in your UFC career is after every single fight, you'll see an update of your progress towards any of the GOAT objectives. So that was my first UFC fight, and I got a knockout, I got a finish, and the other one's there, and I'm pretty far away from the career earnings and followers milestone, but I'll always see how I'm doing. Gained a bunch of fans, made a bunch of money, fantastic. Probably should be a little bit more social media. Anybody? Oh, Cain Velasquez is watching.
There we go.
Thanks, Cain. I'm humbled, Megan.
Yeah, you got to be nice to her. Don't be a dick. You got to be nice.
What's funny is that so obviously in development there's bugs and stuff like that. There's the things at one point, maybe like 2 months ago, there was a bug where when that thing came up from Megan, the answers that we surfaced to you were answers that were supposed to be responses to her arrival. So it was like Megan literally was like, "Hey, congrats on your first win. What's next?" And it was like, "I can't wait to get you knocked out. I'm going to wreck you," or something like that. so it's like. I was like, "Oh, we need to fix this."
Yeah.
Pronto. The fans will not like threatening Megan Levy over social media. So
Actually, I think that would be considered sexual assault. It
it-
gets you in trouble.
I know it'd be a career suicide. That's for
Yeah.
sure. So, but yeah, that gives you. I mean, that's basically a nice little slice of again all the stuff we had in career mode, and you got to see one of the early cinematics. Obviously, as you get sort of deeper in your career, you see some more varied scenes of your fighter doing interesting stuff that UFC fighters do. Like I said, like open workouts, press conferences, weigh-ins, all that kind of stuff. But that is getting the start of a UFC career in EA Sports UFC 3. I'm gonna just take.
Isn't that the same guy? No, that's.
They offered me a fight against him last time.
But I thought that's the guy you fought.
We sparred with him.
You look just like him anyway.
Yeah. Maybe.
Go hard to do it. I think this guy's fine. But yeah, I mean, again, the sort of the long story short, although I've already told the long version of it. But to sum up, similar to what we did overhauling like the stand-up gameplay experience and really building it from the ground up, we almost did basically the same thing with career mode in terms of all the stuff we added to it, and that really comes down to. We know from sort of user feedback, player feedback, in-game telemetry, career mode is one of the most popular modes. People love to play that experience. We want to make sure we give them something meaty with some clear objectives. And again, give me something to shoot for. Give me, let me become the greatest of all time. Show them those scenes of press conferences, weigh-ins, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we really invested a lot in trying to make career mode a much deeper experience than it ever has been. So hopefully. People are going to dig it. I know this would probably right here be the, 50th or 52nd career mode that I've started to play through since we've been playing the game, so or working on the game. So, and I'm still having fun. So hopefully that's a good sign. Yeah.
I have a couple more minutes. Let's see
Yeah.
if you have any
Yeah,
questions.
When UFC 4 comes out.
Yep. Oh, wow, we're already talking about that.
Yeah, well, your career.
Yeah.
Is there any way to carry your career over to the next iteration of the game?
I mean, a career. I mean, the idea for a career here is that like you're gonna end up having. Well, you could end up having anywhere between 30 to 40 maybe 50-something fights in this career, and then you're going to retire. There may be an opportunity for you to carry over like your fighter's avatar and then restart a career, but kind of the point of the career mode is to go from start to finish, right? Become the GOAT, and then sort of step away from the game kind of thing. So there may be an opportunity to, like I said, if you created an avatar that you were really a fan of, we might be able to carry something like that over. But the inherent sort of purpose of the career mode is to start from scratch and get to the top. And
would you ever be able to fight yourself? That would be interesting. That previous character,
like a crazy or some kind of that. I mean, let's put it this way. It's UFC 4. It's a long ways away. I will pencil that down and see what we think about it. But at this point, this is UFC 3. It is what it is. And then we're always looking to, hey, what can we add to the next version of the experience down the road. But yeah, that's something we may think about.
With sports titles, for me, it's always about being able to hang on to my characters for as long as possible.
Yeah.
I play baseball a lot.
Right.
And so I've been using the same Road to the Show character.
Yeah.
Since MLB 14, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm like 20 years into my career.
Right.
Then I know you can't really have that long of a career in UFC.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah.
It's a little more contact sport.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to at least maybe to be able to carry your character and see your character into the next version.
Yep.
Of it.
Yep. Yeah. Certainly there's things like that in terms of, could your character become your coach, or there's all kinds of things we can do with kind of adding some sort of persistence or carryover. But like I said, the UFC 4 is. I mean, that's light years away from me right now. We're just trying to, with this one coming out February 2nd and making sure it's.
Hey, you got less than a month.
Yeah.
Less than a month. It's right around the corner. I think you actually covered most of this. How do you get the actual ratings of the fighters?
We do. We're just big, huge fans of the UFC ourselves. And basically, the process has always been we take a stab at things, sort of run things by the UFC matchmakers. They give us some feedback. We update it, and then one of the things that we wanted to do on UFC 2, and then it ended up getting getting messed up. But so we also do have this year. We'll have this year the ability to update ratings, sort of live post launch. So. If somebody, some prospect goes on a really hot streak and, gets way better, we can adjust the ratings. If somebody seems like they're on the decline, we can drop them down. We can always sort of nudge those things back and forth. But basically, it's not the most exact science, obviously. The one bit of exact science is that we saw that Francis Ngannou broke the record for, punching power on whatever that machine was, so we made sure he's going to have 100 punching power then.
Hey, you would think so.
Yeah,
you would definitely think so.
But yeah, it's basically just a collaborative sort of effort between our designers and the UFC. So.
How long do y'all have an agreement with UFC? Is that an open-ended thing?
No, it was a long-term deal. Man, it's a crazy thing how much time has flown by, but we signed it in 2012, and it was a Was it 20? No, is that right? 2012? Maybe that's right. But we do have a long-term deal, and there are more after this. There are more titles on it. So.
Do you know when the deal with them ends, or?
I used to, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Pretty much open-ended.
It's not open-ended. I know it was hey, it's this. Maybe it was it couldn't have been 8 years. Maybe it was 8 years from after the release of the first game, which was 2014 or something like that. I'm not the business licensing dude. I'm the creative director. So yeah.
All right. I play a lot with guys on Facebook, and we actually have a league. Mm-hmm. To where we try to keep track of who beat who and who won who. Do y'all have any type of integration with a clan system or?
No, we don't. It's something that we hear about fairly often. And you know, I think when we talk about say UFC Forward, maybe that's a feature that we might start looking at. But for this year, our priorities were really like the stand-up gameplay experience, career mode, Ultimate Team, and adding like tournament mode, and you know some other things that would. You know, there's always a list of like 5 billion things that somebody wants, and we try and get to as many of them as we possibly can. But yeah, that's one we know there's like you know some hardcore people that like run their own leagues and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we do that we actually have it on Facebook where our league manager sets up the fights.
Right, that's cool.
And he keeps track of everything. And then we just have to post a screenshot of the result.
Nice.
At the end of the fight. It was interesting. I played it for a couple of months.
I almost want to join.
I had to quit. I got too many other games to play.
Right,
so.
right.
But I'll probably get back into it with them with this one.
Cool.
For a little while anyway. I actually had a couple of questions for you. Yeah, I asked them if they had any questions. One guy wanted to know your favorite color. Don't ask me one.
My favorite color?
Your favorite color?
I think blue.
Blue. Well, you have any pets?
Yeah, I have a cat named Poopers.
Name what?
Poopers.
Poopers?
Poopers.
Cat named Poopers.
Yep.
That's all they're good for. And eating. Poopers. Favorite alcoholic beverage? What do you like?
Do I need to say the specific like brand? Of
no,
whiskey?
it doesn't matter. No.
Whiskey.
Whiskey?
It's Irish whiskey.
Irish whiskey?
Yeah.
You have a favorite brand?
No, I mean, well, it depends. It depends on depends on what's in my hand.
What's closest?